All right, today at our reloading bench, we're doing some brass prep, working on something new. This is a 45 Colt case, rim case, very large, originally a black powder cartridge. A whole bunch of excess case capacity if you're using modern smokeless ammo. And if you're using black powder cartridges, just like in the old days for competition shooting, that makes for a pretty hefty load for a pistol. With a bit of recoil that you don't necessarily need. So what we're going to be loading in is, if you can read it, this is Cowboy 45 Special. A cowboy shooter named Adirondack Jack developed these cases several years ago, and the brass is available from Starline. And this is a case that combines the rim and case head dimensions of the 45 Colt, but the case length of the venerable 45 ACP auto pistol cartridge. So the length is about the same, and you can use 45 ACP dies for things like case expansion, bullet seating. So sort of the best of both worlds. My good friend Holly for $1 was kind enough to send me a couple of hundred 45 Cowboy 45 Special cases. Some of these are the factory Starline cases like we saw, and others are 45 Colt cases that he trimmed down to the correct length. This Cowboy 45 Special brass, as I said, is available from Starline, but available is in air quotes because it is back ordered, and who knows when you can actually get it from Starline. But in any event, so you can make it. This is used brass, and I am going to wet tumble it to get it ready for loading. And I like to deprime or decap, i.e. take out the fired primers from cases before I wet tumble them, because otherwise you can get into a little issue with moisture being trapped in the primer pockets after wet tumbling, so I like to decap them. And to do that, I'm using my Hornady LNL AP progressive press, in which the lonely die in the top is a Lee universal decapping die. So all that is a die body that holds a decapping pin in the correct place to punch the fired primer out of the case. And the good news there is, well, you could do that with just your standard sizing die. If you have brass that is dirty, sandy, brass can actually sort of get particles embedded in the sides, and that can, over time, can scratch your sizing die, which is no bueno. So good technique is to decap them with a universal decapping die. You can use handheld devices, you can use a single stage press, but I use the progressive press with a case feeder, and I've just manually dropped a column of cases into the feed tube rather than putting them in the hopper. You see a custom dust cover on the hopper because I've still got some wet tumbled, pristine, clean 38 Special cases in that hopper, so I don't want to bother taking those out. So I just dropped these stubby little 45 Cowboy Special. I'll say it that way wrong all the time. It's not 45 Cowboy Special, it's Cowboy 45 Special. Terminology is important. So what we're going to do here is just grab our press handle, our case feeder, we'll put the cases into the press, and of course, the first time I do that, it doesn't go all the way into the shell plate and makes a liar out of me, but if things work right, there we go. All you have to do is pull the handle. You don't have to touch it. They feed into the shell plate, get decapped, and just ride the shell plate all the way around to the last station where the bump on the subplate kicks them right into the bin. Really simple. And once we get that done, they stick occasionally, we will put them into the wet tumbler and give them a bath for, these have not been fired with black powder, they're relatively clean, so really only about 15-20 minutes is gracious plenty to get them clean. And it'll clean not only the outside of the case, it'll clean the inside of the primer pocket, which precision reloaders worry about that. I do not. and the inside of the case will be squeaky clean. It'll look like factory virgin brass, and not that clean brass shoots any better necessarily, but you know, it does keep things nice and clean, and you know that, for example, that you're not going to have a problem with a little bit of mud, or sometimes you find spider webs and Lord knows what else stuck inside cases that have been laying on the ground, so you know that you don't have a problem there that's going to block a flash hole and maybe cause a squib. You know, anything can happen, and often does. So that's just a quick, easy way to do brass prep. If you've invested in a progressive reloading press, you know, go ahead and use it for these, not just for the full progressive reloading, all the stations. They're simple tasks that you can still use, get the value out of the efficiency of the press and case fitter and so forth that you've already paid for. It makes the brass prep is kind of a drudging task sometimes, so it makes it a little bit easier if you can save a few steps and then get to the cleaning part. Let's go ahead and look real quickly at our wet tumbler there. We just ran a batch of 4440s out that I shot with black powder at our state Cowboy rinse this weekend, and after a rinse, then it goes into the media separator, give it a spin, and stainless steel pins fall out, and then you could dry them in the sun on a nice day like this. But I have a Frankfurt Arsenal Platinum Series brass dryer, which is just a rebadged dehumidifier, drying the brass so that we don't have water spots on it, because who wants water spots on their clean brass? It just won't do. So when we'll just go ahead and show a lot about the case fitter perhaps, but you know, here's this was Starline brass that I loaded for the first time this weekend. And when you fire form it, it forms that little bottleneck that you see. And as you can see, it's really grungy after shooting with black powder, but after about a 45-minute bath, I soaked them last night after, because I couldn't clean them immediately, and then put them in a wet tumbler. You can see how clean the primer pocket is, and you can see how absolutely factory fresh the inside is. And that's those stainless steel pins that work. They get inside and agitate the scrape, and you know, help with a little bit of detergent or cleaning fluid, you know, get those cases nice and clean. So that's it for brass prep. We'll continue on and see how we do working out a new load with the Cowboy 45 Special. Right at that time. See you later.